Hi, everyone. This is Jason Holland. I'm the owner and travel butler with Travel Simplicity. I'm very pleased this morning to take you to the continent of Africa, where you're going to get to meet one of my friends and local travel butler, Scott, and he's in South Africa. Hi, Scott.
Hey guys, happy to be here.
So
Thanks
it
for
is,
having me, Jason.
let's see, it's almost 10:30 in the morning here. What time is
Mm.
it there?
It's about 4:30, so I'm getting ready to knock off and have my first drink after this Zoom session.
Perfect.
But
And you were just saying that now the bottle stores have opened, so you can do that, right?
yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, I mean we've been under lockdown just as long as you guys have, but I think things might have been a bit more stringent here. So I never realized how dependent our country was on alcohol until this period. And as of Monday, the bottle stores have opened. So yeah, of course, everyone's very happy. They seem to have forgotten about the need to stand 2 meters apart from each other. And I think people are happy for a while just to be distracted. So yeah, it's been a good week for the country.
Well, here in Pennsylvania, they have state liquor stores, and they
Mm.
have beer distributors and things like that. Well, the beer distributors, for whatever reason, uh, were always classified as an essential business, so they never they never closed.
That is crazy.
Yes,
You guys are doing it right. That's for sure.
I guess so.
Because yeah, I swear, if you took away people's running water, there would have been less upset than alcohol here in South Africa. So yeah, maybe you guys have done it the right way around.
Oh, I don't know. Well, hey, I have to ask. So what is that? Tell us about the picture that's behind you.
So, Jason, I wish I could tell you that this is actually where I'm sitting as we speak. Because yeah, I just thought I'd throw up an image of my absolute favorite place on earth, and it's one of the lodges up in the southern Sabi Sands, which is in the Greater Kruger area, and this is called Sabi Earth Lodge, and it's definitely a luxury lodge, but that's by no means why it's my favorite, and I'm openly biased about it. And it's not because it has the absolute best facilities or it's the most luxurious. It's just, it was simply where I was lucky enough to have my first safari experience. So it's a place that I absolutely crave when I'm not able to travel like now. And so yeah, I put it there for you guys to see, but I also put it there for me to feel. I miss going to the bush, and I miss places like this that I'm super passionate about.
I'm ready to step into it. It looks amazing.
Jason, can I reciprocate? Can I ask you about yours? Is that
Yeah,
random, or is
sure.
that somewhere in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, this is actually a picture that I took. So yes, I'm not in a field of sunflowers today, but it's actually a little cloudy outside. But I thought it would be nice to have something bright and cheerful, and just a few minutes, probably about 40 minutes down the road, down towards Gettysburg. If anyone's heard of Gettysburg, that's kind of an area, part of Pennsylvania that's famous for its Civil War history, amongst other things. They have these amazing fields of sunflowers. And
Okay.
so this place, you can actually go at particular times of the year, and you can literally go out into the field and just pick your own.
Wow. No, that's beautiful. I
It is.
like
I
it.
mean, you're just talk about being surrounded by flowers, and I don't know if you've ever been in a field of sunflowers or not, but they grow quite tall. They're pretty big, and so and the actual flowers themselves get quite big. So
Beautiful.
it is. It's really pretty pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, you're lucky that's only a short drive away, whereas the place that's in my virtual background is a good 13-hour drive or two flights, unfortunately. So I wish I could just pop across like you might be able to.
For sure, absolutely. Well,
I'll be making the most of this. Yeah.
yeah. So Scott, I hear that you have a couple pictures to share and maybe some stories to tell us about.
Yeah, for sure. So, cloudy here, and in South Africa, you can't have clouds and really good internet coverage. You've got to have one of the other. But yeah, I've got a few pictures that I'll share with you guys. Give me a sec. Alrighty, I just seeing as though most people, and I assume listening to
I love it.
this, that is my safari face. So that was actually me my first time in Botswana, and we were heading through to one of the lodges. We had just landed off the light aircraft, and out of nowhere there was just torrential downpour. And that's just a memory that's really stuck for me. And I mean, I think of it often now, you know, just things don't always go as planned, and certainly not that day. I mean, we were drenched and we were not expecting any rain over those 3 days. But I was so happy to be there. And yeah, times like that you appreciate a lot more when you're not able to do that, you know.
For sure.
Yeah, so
what was one of your favorite experiences that you had that first time? I mean, what was it that?
Well, I think that particular trip was actually my first time in Botswana, and thereafter we went through to Victoria Falls, which is, I'm sure most people watching this will know what it is, but you know, you can see 1,000 pictures, but you can't ever comprehend just how special Victoria Falls really is. I think I've actually got, sorry, the picture's not too clear, but that's me standing in the mighty Zambezi River having sundowners. And that day, without a doubt, was my highlight of that specific trip. And we quite often hear that the sunsets over there in Zambezi are like nothing else on earth. And after that trip, I can 100% confirm that is definitely the case.
I have to ask, are you standing on a rock or is it that shallow?
No, it's just that shallow. So this was actually during the river's not exactly at its highest at this point, because this is around the November area, which is the dry season. And by comparison, if I were to be trying to stand in that same position during July, I would be drowning or being terrorized by a hippo, one of the two. But no, that was just a really cool sundowner spot that we were lucky enough to experience while staying in Victoria Falls.
That, you know, that's interesting. I hear that hippos can be some pretty ornery creatures.
Yeah, no, you're completely correct. I think a lot like any other animal, you know, you just need to be respectful of their space. And provided you are with someone that knows the animals well, you know the area well, they're reasonable. You know, I wouldn't say they're extremely violent, unless they agitated them. They'll definitely make their presence known. I mean, the Botswana and Zimbabwe areas are quite well known for their morokoros, which is essentially what you might think of a kayak or a canoe. And it's basically a hollowed out tree. And instead of paddling, the guys actually use these sticks to push off the bottom of the river, because as you saw from that picture, they can be quite shallow. So there's no need for a paddle, whereas a stick works better to push. And that's one of the highlights of going somewhere like Botswana, for example. But you got to watch out for those hippos. You don't want to go anywhere near them. Luckily, when you are doing one of these activities, you're with a professional. You know, you're with a guy that has grown up around these beautiful, majestic, but super powerful animals. So he understands them. He knows the distance required to maintain respect. But of course, if it's your first, second, or even for me, if it's your 10th time, it never stops being scary. It's quite a thrill.
I can imagine. That's amazing. And now you mentioned sundowners. For those who don't know, what do you mean when you say a sundowner?
Alrighty, so sundowners, first, the best way to answer that question is for you to actually come and visit Southern Africa. Because regardless of where you are, I mean, you could be on safari, you could be on Clifton Beach in Cape Town, which is incredibly well known. You could be anywhere, Durban, for example, where I live. I've actually got an image of my favorite sundowner spot here in Durbs. And let me just pull this up for you. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, that looks delicious.
Yeah, so that's a gin and raspberry tonic at the Oyster Box. So this is just the done thing. If you're on holiday here in Southern Africa, around 4:30, 5 o'clock, you are having a sundowner drink. And whether you be on game drive, whether you be, wallowing through the Zambezi River, dodging hippos, or whether you're city side, and it's almost compulsory to have a drink just to, signify the end of a really successful day.
Is that the ocean in the background? I mean, if you're in Durban, you're right on the coast.
Yes, yeah. So we are on the East Coast here in Durban, and this is one of the really well-known. Hold on for a second, just trying to get used to this. Yeah, this is one of the really well-known hotels here in Durban called the Oyster Box, and they just have this beautiful lighthouse bar. I guess you can see why it's called the lighthouse bar, with that lighthouse peeking up just in the horizon, and it just overlooks the whole of the Indian Ocean. And yeah, it's an absolute must-see here in Durbs.
Looks wonderful. That looks delicious.
Yeah, it was. I promise, it was.
So what's that last picture that you have there?
That last one, alrighty. So that's just something I pulled off my phone. That's from my most recent trip. And we were lucky enough just before lockdown actually to squeeze in one more safari outing, and it was actually just a work trip. We went to go check out a few areas that we hadn't yet seen, and within the Eastern Cape in South Africa. So if you know a bit about safari, you'll definitely know the Kruger areas, possibly the Madikwe in South Africa. Those tend to be the more prominent ones. And KZN on the upper East Coast has some great safari as well, but so unexplored and underrated and great value for money is safari in the Eastern Cape. And this is just a quick snap I took on our last morning, staying at Samara Lodge, which is in the Karoo area.
Sure.
Absolutely beautiful, and I mean space like you could not believe. And I think we spent 3 days there. We didn't see another vehicle the whole time, and you just feel like you're in a country all by yourself. And I think there's definitely beauty in the vastness and something like that. And yeah, in that photo you can see I had the whole pool to myself as well.
I see that. Yeah. Well, it's nice you privatized it all.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I love seeing the mountain in the background too. It's just so pretty. So
it really is.
So living in Durban, what are your now? Did you grow up in Durban? Is that
so? Yes, I did, Jason. I was born in Durban. I went to boarding school in KZN, just about an hour away from where I am now. But then during varsity and thereafter, I've spent quite a bit of time in Cape Town. I've spent some time in Johannesburg as well. But to me, Durban is home, and to equate it for those who might not know Durban, whenever I visit the States, I say that if there is a town or a city that's most like Durban, it's San Diego. And definitely got a similar type of vibe. People are quite laid back, quite relaxed. And we're beautiful weather year round. I mean, now it's winter, and it's my absolute favorite time of year. I'm so patriotic of Durban at this time of year, because you can go outside for a run now. It's a comfortable 23 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure what that works out to in Fahrenheit, but it's just super easy living. Whereas Johannesburg would be the equivalent of New York City, hustle and bustle. And in Cape Town, I would maybe equate to LA or something like that. Maybe a cleaner version. But yeah, it's funny how you can always draw comparisons. So yeah. I'm in your version of San Diego.
I like the comparisons. That's pretty great.
I'm yet to visit you, Jason, so I'm hoping to do that on my next trip. You're going to have to show me around, and then I'm going to see just what the equivalent is for Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. So so being in Durban, what are some of the things that you love about being in Durban? I mean, where are some of the places you go to hang out? You like to, what's one of your favorite places to eat?
Alrighty, so I'm a big fan of food, but I by no means claim to be a foodie. I'm just passionate about eating large quantities of delicious stuff. But I mean, I'm quite lucky in where I'm located. So just a couple hundred meters north of where I am now is Florida Road. And it's basically just a hot spot of restaurants, bars. It's really an entertainment strip. And there's just numerous amounts of bars and quality restaurants on there. And I mean, that for me is fantastic because it's walking distance away, super accessible. And like I mentioned earlier, it's year round, you know, and during winter, during summer, it's exquisite. So that's probably where I frequent the most often. And onto broader KwaZulu-Natal, which is my state. And we're incredibly lucky to kind of have the world in one region. You know, we have the Drakensberg mountain range, just a 2-hour drive away. That's one of the natural wonders of the world. So incredible hiking. And if you're into camping, there's phenomenal spots there. There's walking trails as well. So from an active point of view, one of the best spots you could be, you know, mountain biking, running, whatever it might be. And then just further north in KZN, there's the Isimangaliso Wetlands Park, which is also another natural wonder of the world. And it's just one of the most diverse scenic areas in the world, with a lot of biodiversities within it. So that's fantastic. And then, of course, we have a few safari spots here in KZN as well, which we're lucky enough to just be a drive away from. And so tons to do here in Durban. Like I say, I'm openly biased towards it. KZN is often overlooked by those who might be visiting us from the States. But that's just because it's not, you know, it's not as on the map as some of the other regions in South Africa might be. But I mean, I love it all. I'm just a bit more biased towards KZN because I live here and I love it here.
We'll let you be biased. That's quite all right. It's Scott, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's been really wonderful to learn more and hear more about South Africa and Durban and Botswana. Sounds like an amazing place. And as things start to open up more, we look forward to exploring the world together.
Awesome. Well, Jason, any friend of yours is a friend of mine. So I'm looking forward to welcoming whoever into my beautiful part of the world. And yeah, hopefully we can one day soon be sharing drinks on the Zambezi or at the Oyster Box, whatever it might be. But yeah, it was great chatting to you again, Jason, and we'll chat soon. But thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. You're very welcome.